Welcome to the episode of Small Opening Mistakes. This is Sagar Shah and I'm going to take you into the deep waters of Queen's Gambit decline. Let me first start off with a line. d4, d5, c4, e6, knight to c3, and now bishop e7, knight f3, knight f6, cd, ed, bishop g5, c6, e3, bishop f5, bd3, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, knight bd7. And this position, friends, is equal, is completely equal for black. Very good position. In fact, white has misplayed the opening and black is completely fine. Now you may ask me, what happened? I mean, we didn't understand anything. White made some good moves, black made some good moves. It was all normal chess and you're saying that it's equal. What you're going to learn right now are some deep move orders and opening, subtleties in the Queen's Gambit decline. First of all, let me just tell you that this is known as the Carlsbad structure over here. This one. And the great thing that has happened for black is that he's gotten rid of his bishop on c8, which is his biggest problem piece in the Queen's Gambit decline. Now let's back up completely and try to take it from the start. I'll try to explain to you what I have learned over the years in this video very quickly. White, when he goes for d4, d5, c4, e6, the Queen's Gambit decline, after knight c3, everyone used to play knight f6. Now, in the olden days, the way in which this would go was bishop g5, bishop e7, e3, castles, knight to f3, knight bd7, queen c2, c6, rook c1. This is how this line used to be played. White would try and not to develop his bishop so as to save that tempo, because black would take on c4 and then go b5 and try for bishop b7. Meanwhile, black is passive and he's trying to, make certain moves like a6, rook e8, just waiting there. This was the line which used to be played in the times of Capablanca, Alekhine, all that great players back then. This is how QGD, Queen's Gambit decline, used to be played. However, one fine day, someone got up and said, what we should do is we should take on d5. And then black players were like, what? Isn't this bishop now open? This is the problem piece in Queen's Gambit decline. So white players said, yes, but you can't develop the bishop yet because I'll take, queen takes, and then I'll take your pawn on d5. Otherwise, you will spoil your structure. So, okay, black said, fine, I'll defend first my pawn here. And then white would go e3. And now, if bishop e7 was played, then after bishop d3, then would be pretty fine for white. I'll come to this position. So bishop f5 is possible here, but this leads to a modern line with queen f3, a very important move here, attacking the bishop. I never ever go for bishop d3. This is what black wants. Black wants to reach a position where he can put his knight here, castle, and he's completely fine. So queen f3 is playing for an advantage. Now you have to move the bishop. And then black players have even gone for this line with a fractured structure just so that the bishop is active. Okay. Going back here, if instead of bishop f5, if you go bishop e7, now clearly threatening to put bishop on f5 next move, because this is well defended in the center. White goes bd3, stopping it. Knight bd7, queen c2, castles. And we see that the main thing that white has done here is kept his knight on g1. Now he can play knight to f3. He can also play his knight to e2. He can short castle or he can even long castle. So a lot of flexibility. So one line can go knight g e2, rook e8, castle short, and knight f8, f3. Very well-known system, trying to play in the center. This was first played by Botvinnik, then championed by Kasparov. It's a great idea. Knight f3 is also possible. and rook e8, you go short castle, and then rook a b1 with the idea of minority attack with b4, b5. Very, very powerful idea. And I think white also fights for a small edge over here. Also, guys, after knight g2, rook e8, you can play long castle in such positions and then try to hurl your pawns down on the king side. It could be also quite dangerous for black. So you see that this position here is very, very flexible for white, and he has a lot of possibilities. Therefore, what black players started to do, look at this. They started to begin here with bishop to e7, not knight f6, because now you can't play a bishop to g5. Once you can't do that, white has to figure out what waiting move to play here. Should he go knight f3 here? Should he move his bishop to f4? Now bishop f4 is completely different line. Let's say he goes knight f3. Now black goes knight f6, and he's like, look, now you have already committed your knight to f3, so there is no knight g2 ideas in the Carlsbad structure. And so after knight f6, if bishop g5 is played, castles, first you can push h6, bishop h4, now castles, cd ed, white would try to, black would try to get into this position with bishop f5, but he's not able to. Bishop d3 comes. Also remember, you can't play bishop f5 here because I'll take and play queen b3, hitting d5 and hitting b7. So usually for the right time for the bishop to come out is after c6, but then white is just in time with bishop d3. Therefore, the main move here after cd5 is now knight d5, and black gets a good position here as well. It's a nice one. You can study it after bishop e7, queen e7. Black does not have problems here. Also, if white doesn't take on d5 here and plays e3, you don't have to play in the good old days. You can go for b6, which is the Tartakower Makogonov Bondarevsky variation, Tartakower variation for short. Or you can play the Lasker system, which Vishy Anand played against Veselin Topalov in their world championship match. This is also a very direct way to play. So here, if you look at it, after bishop e7, knight f3, knight f6, white is kind of thinking what to do. And after, let's say, cd, trying to go for the Carlsbad structure, bishop g5, now black quickly goes for the move c6. Notice how he's planning to go bishop f5 here. See, with this move order, he's tricked him. If he had chosen other move order, the knight would have been on g1 and pawn on e3, and white would have comfortably played bishop d3, stopping bishop f5. But here, not so much. That's not possible. So first of all, queen c2 is an interesting line here, trying to stop bishop f5. Now what do you do with black? g6, important move. And now my threat once again is bishop f5. If e3, you know that this is equal. Even with g6, it doesn't matter. Black is doing very, very okay. White could play e4, which has become like an important line. But after d, bishop f6, bishop f6, queen e4, queen e7, this is also equality now. So you can't do this. So queen c2 is very well met with g6. Again, if you are not accurate and if you play a move like castles, then after e3, knight bd7, bishop d3, we go into this line where after castles, rook b1, b4, b5, white can play for a small edge. So here after c6, if you go e3, not queen c2, then very quickly you play bishop f5. And this was the first line that I showed you, if you remember. And now after bd3, takes, knight bd7. So this was all about this bishop on c8, activating it at the right time, trying to put it on f5. If you look at this position, it's entirely about this bishop, if it can develop or not. And bishop e7 is a very interesting opening subtlety that you can play. It's a very high level one, these little ideas which I just discussed, but in a way what black is telling white is that I'm trying to put you in a small zugzwang like situation. If you play e3 here, your bishop will be blocked. If you commit your knight here, you don't have knight g2 options. And if you after bishop e7, if you go for cd ed bishop f4, which is possible, then after c6 e3 bishop f5, this is also a very interesting line. And there are moves like g4 here and so on. But if white wants to stay in this queen's gambit decline territory with bishop g5 line, then he must go knight f3, when black is very happy and goes for these systems here. And also an important thing is that if you go e3, Tartakower and Lasker variation, if you take here, take with the knight, and black is doing very well. I hope you understood this entire small opening mistake. If you have any questions, please write it down in the comment section. I tried to cram in my entire knowledge of these move orders of Queen's Gambit declined in like 11 or 11 and a half minutes. I hope you will like it. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.